Liberals, don't start popping the champagne yet. This is the Militant Moderate Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Michael Boland. So Paul Manafort's in the news today because he basically is under arrest pending an investigation. But you liberals out there, don't start popping the champagne corks quite yet. But it does seem like a bad guy went down. First of all, who is Paul Manafort? Paul Manafort has been working for presidents and presidential campaigns going back to the 70s, where he originally worked on President Ford's committee. He also worked for Ronald Reagan back in 1980. He was appointed Associate Director of the Presidential Personnel Office. I guess that's a thing. In 1981, he was nominated to the Board of Directors for the Overseas Private Investment Corporation. That's probably where things started to go pear-shaped for this guy. He was also an advisor for the presidential campaigns of Herbert Walker Bush and Bob Dole. Now, stuff he did in foreign countries, that's where things get kind of hanky. Some of it's kind of hanky by association. He worked for President Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines, and we more or less remember him brutally oppressing his people while he made sure that his wife's shoe collection was in the thousands. Manafort wrote the campaign strategy for a gentleman by the name of Eduardo in the 1995 French elections. Indirectly, at least 200,000 through a friend who happened to be a Lebanese arms dealer. Who knew? Who also arranged for the sale of 3 French submarines to Pakistan. This was kind of a scandal. It was known as the Karachi affair. He also had an association with Pakistani Inter-Service Intelligence Agency, basically Pakistan CIA, which was diverting attention away from terrorism, but it was kind of a weird thing where apparently Manafort interviewed several officials while pretending to be a CNN reporter. I know. Now, back home, there was also a scandal with HUD, the Housing and Urban Development. In the late 80s, Manafort was criticized for using his connections HUD to ensure funding for a $43 million rehabilitation of dilapidated housing in Seabrook, New Jersey. Yeah, still is, again, more hinky stuff with this guy. Manafort also worked as the advisor for the Ukrainian presidential campaign of Viktor Yanukovych from Ukraine. And we all know that kind of went weird. Now, what is he technically being charged with? Basically, it's a paperwork error, but pretty important papers. He failed to register as a foreign agent who was lobbying for foreign countries outside the U.S. Lobbying for foreign countries requires registration with the Justice Department under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Manafort did not do so at the time of his lobbying in April of 2017, and a spokesman for Manafort said he was planning to file the required paperwork. However, according to the Associated Press, he had not yet registered. He did file retroactively. With things going on the way they now, that wasn't going to fly. One of the reasons he may not have resorted as a foreign agent is because he was apparently making money hand over fist, and he would have had to disclose all that and pay taxes on it, so they're also kind of getting him on tax evasion too. There are disclosures that he has made more than $17 million between 2012 and 2014 working for a pro-Russian political party in the Ukraine. Now, apparently the FBI began a criminal investigation of Manafort back in 2014, and that kind of came to a head. Now Mueller's kind of took over that investigation, and on October 30th, 2017, just a few days ago, Manafort surrendered to the FBI after being indicted by a grand jury as part of Robert Mueller's investigation of the Trump campaign. And they're getting him for engaging in conspiracy to launder money. He failed to file reports of foreign bank and financial accounts. And just for a little bit of silliness, according to a Julie Bort at Business Insider, this was according to the Young Turks, he liked to use the password Bond 007. I know. There are allegations that this was basically a giant money laundering scheme to get to clean foreign money from sources that aren't that great. According to reports, over $70 million went through accounts that he was associated with. As far as the case goes, according to the prosecutors, Manafort has laundered more than $18 million. So what does this mean? Bad guys going to jail. I mean, that's kind of what we want to have happen. He did some really hinky stuff. He broke our laws. Therefore, he should be punished. Now, from what I understand, a lot of people are doing this kind of thing. There's a whole thing now where their foreign countries are basically laundering money by buying high-end apartments and things like that, and they just sit empty because what do they care? That the money's, in this market, it's not like they're going to go down in value. I would be irritated if, by no means am I excusing Manafort for his actions, but if there are a lot of people doing this, I'd rather not this be the last arrest in this line. I'd rather it be the first arrest in this line. Why are all the liberals thinking this is great? I have no idea. Because none of these charges directly relate to the Trump campaign, of which case he was a campaign manager for a grand total of 3 friggin' months. All of these are stuff that happened in the past and no direct ties to the Trump campaign. So sorry, you're not going to get Trump. This isn't the first domino. This is a domino that was sitting out by itself, just sitting out like on the table all by its little lonesome, and it just fell over. That's it. So to sum up, looks like a guy's going to jail. Yay! I know all you liberals out there are anti-Trump people were hoping that this was going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Nope, it's just a straw sitting all by itself, lonely in the room that broke all on its own. That being said, criminal goes to jail. Sounds like it works for me. Now, remember, special prosecutors things get weird, because let's look at the Kenneth Starr. This was the special investigator who was appointed to investigate some hinky stuff that Bill Clinton did. That started with Whitewater, a real estate scheme, but it ended with the president lying about getting a Hummer from an intern. Exactly. So this could literally go anywhere. And the other thing is that Manafort was very involved with a person named Podesta. Not John, Tony, John's brother. You might remember Podesta from the Podesta email leaks when involved Hillary Clinton. So this literally has more of a shot of putting Hillary in jail than it does Trump. And I'm not saying that Hillary did anything to go to jail here, but there's more hinky connections to Hillary with Manafort than there are with Trump. Sorry, if you guys were hoping for a smoking gun to take out the head nacho in charge, this ain't it. Sorry to be the one to break it to you. Another day, another podcast. This has been the Militant Moderate Podcast. I've been your host, Paul Michael Boland. Please click like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Anything. It helps. Why not? And of course, be nice. We will also have links to our podcast, Stitcher and iTunes. Feel free to listen to it then. More of me to go around. If this isn't enough me, you can find me other places. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and you can find the brand new Militant Moderate Podcast, yes, an actual podcast, which you can find on Stitcher, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Thank you, our producer. Let me know, because I'm still getting used to this stuff. It's the computer thing. There's a lot of things. I just use it for porn. I don't know what everybody's talking about. And guess what? The Militant Moderate Podcast actually now has a podcast, which can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. There are all sorts of ways that you can experience me. And leave a comment down below. Tell me how wonderful I am. Donna. I have so many mixed emotions about this. This is the Militant Moderate Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Michael Boland. Donna Brazile. Thank you, and you. Donna Brazile has a new book coming out. You might remember me complaining about her last week because she was appointed to the Rules Committee of the Democratic National Committee after she clearly provided questions in advance for Hillary Clinton. So I'm not too happy with her, but apparently she's got a new book coming out. It is entitled Hacks, the inside story of break-ins and breakdowns that put Donald Trump in the White House. Okay. Yeah, it kind of answers that what happened question, I'll tell you that much. Politico has gotten some excerpts from this book, which apparently isn't being released until the end of the month. I will go over it once I find it. The article starts out with, basically it's all quotes. Seems to be just Donna talking to herself, because, first of all, who else values her opinion? Me. But deserved. So, it starts out, before I called Bernie Sanders, I lit a candle in my living room and put on some gospel music. I wanted to center myself for what I knew would be an emotional phone call. Mother of God. Apparently it's coming to a light that the Democratic Party was in financial shambles. Because apparently Obama left the party $24 million in debt, $15 million in bank debt, and more than $8 million owed to vendors from the 2012 campaign, his re-election. Apparently he spent way too much, and then he didn't help fundraising to fill the coffers once again. Apparently, the Obama campaign had been paying it off slowly, but was not scheduled to pay it off completely until 2016, around the time the election cycle kind of ends. She further writes, I had promised Bernie when I took the helm of the Democratic National Committee after the convention that I would get to the bottom of whether Hillary Clinton's team had rigged the nomination process, as a cache of emails stolen by Russian hackers and posted online had suggested. I had my suspicions from the moment I walked in the door of the DNC a month or so earlier, based on the leaked emails, but who knew if some of them might have been forged? I needed to have solid proof, and so did Bernie. So I followed the money. My predecessor, Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, on a side note, yes, evil incarnate, she had not been the most active chair in fundraising at the time when President Barack Obama's neglect had left the party in significant debt. As Hillary's campaign gained momentum, she resolved the party's debt and then put it on a starvation diet. It had become dependent on her campaign for survival. The DNC had become dependent on Hillary Clinton's campaign for survival, for which she expected to wield control of its operations. Free and fair elections, right guys? Donna goes further. Debbie was not a good manager. She hadn't been very interested in controlling the party. She let Clinton's headquarters in Brooklyn do as it desired. So she didn't have to inform the party officers about how bad the situation was and how much control Brooklyn had, and for how long was still something I had been trying to uncover for the last few weeks. You buying this? And the last thing I'll read here. By December 7th, the day I called Bernie, I had found my proof, and it broke my heart. So you found the proof back in September. Let's see, election thing didn't happen until like November 8th. So you kind of knew? If not directly involved. I literally think the only reason that she's doing this is because she sees that, please, Hillary, don't run again. Otherwise, we're going to get another 4 years of Trump. The Democratic Party is clearly moving towards progressives, i.e. Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in America right now, according to polls. I think Donna's trying to save her job. Now she's finally coming clean, and maybe she'll get a job in the Bernie administration. Bernie, you give her a job, I am going to lose a lot of respect for you, okay? And I have a lot of respect for you, but still, her? The DNC had no money. Millions were flooded through Hillary Clinton's super PAC. They say that they were broke, but what about all the money that the Bernie Sanders supporters donated? The part that was part of, some of them sued because it was supposed to be free and fair elections. As you can see, Hillary owned the DNC. It was hers to do with as she would. Makes kind of sense why all the super delegates just right to her before Bernie Sanders even said he was running. And I don't think a lot of them changed to just buying. Hillary tried to buy the election. And if you guys don't think she is the epitome of corruption, I don't know what to tell you. Doesn't any of this bug you? Because your emails. Well, the emails actually showed some kind of illegal crap that she was going on. And some hanky stuff. And she should have literally been at least fined or had her security status ripped by simply mishandling classified emails. You know, I'm not talking about the private server. I'm just talking those classified emails wound up on the Wiener computer. I said Wiener. Yeah. She was carrying around an unsecured BlackBerry. Comey literally says that if anybody else were to do this, there would be sanctions. But not Hillary. Wonder why. The uranium deals, things are starting to come to light where it looks like over $140 million were funneled through the Clinton Foundation through various aspects and various agents that were involved in the Uranium One deal. You should be even aggravated with, I want everyone to Pokemon go to the polls. When you're in your 70s, anytime you make some sort of a pop culture reference, you basically look like Paul Ryan doing this. That felt stupid. At the very least, you should be angry with Hillary. I wish you would all Pokemon go to the polls. Right, look, if you're at that age and you're trying to do a pop culture reference, you literally look like, yeah, you can just feel the stupid, can't you? I am now dumber for having done this. Don't ask me to ever do this again. I'm not saying Trump's a perfect candidate, but oh my God, look at all the corruption that is surrounding Hillary and the Clinton Foundation and Bill Clinton, the Harvey Weinstein of the White House. I'm just saying. To sum up, Donna, too little, too late. And to think that you didn't know what was going on, I really have a problem believing that. I don't know how we keep electing these people. So what do? For one, everyone, you have more power than you think, because politicians need our votes a lot more than they need money. They can just bend in any direction and money just happens to find them. It's just how it works. But a call to action, let's vote these people out. And let's get behind a candidate like Tulsi Gabbard. Released a statement. She's starting a petition, linked down below, to reform the DNC for open primaries and an end to the superdelegate system. Because look at it this way. People were so sick of politics during this last election cycle. Unorthodox candidates rose on both sides. Trump on one, Bernie Sanders on the other. Just the Democratic National Convention didn't listen to the people and didn't let their populist candidate rise. You know Bernie would have won. Because Hillary, I will never forget. As far as Hillary Clinton is concerned, I will never forget him. As far... Well, that's just going to work today. Surfing USA, surfing USA. God damn, I should about Hillary too much. Okay. The one thing I will never forgive Hillary Clinton for is for making Trump palatable. I know I've said that in previous episodes, but what's a better example? Put it in the comments down below. You think I'm wrong? Put it in the comments down below. You're wrong, but you can put it down there. I mean, seriously, you have eyes. Look, just look at her. Woman dressed like a freaking Bond villain during the campaign. That's not like a clue. You want a good candidate? Look at Tulsi Gabbard. This has been the Militant Moderate Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Michael Ball. Please click like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. And the podcast will be available on Stitcher, iTunes, and SoundCloud. And leave a comment down below. Every little bit helps. Yeah, and what else are you going to do? Be nice to one another.